Now, if you're looking to start your fishing journey, you don't need one big expensive boat. You just need a canoe. The canoe is great because it's versatile. It can go a lot of different places that the motorboats can't go. And especially when there's no ramp, you can just find a spot that's public access and then you can start fishing. And if you're Indigenous folk or non-Indigenous folk, this is a great way to start fishing. You know, a lot of us start from the bank and shore fish, just casting out from whatever spots are publicly accessible. But once you get a kayak or a canoe, then the fishing spots really start to open up to you. The next thing that you want to start thinking about is maps, locations. Do some research. You can pick up different books like BRMB. It gives you a lot of different places that you can go fishing for every single type of fish. It'll give you the water body, the species that are in it, and around the sizing that you might catch. So today, we're gonna be fishing my favorite pond here. It's full of pike. We're gonna try to stay away from the bass because bass isn't open yet and they're spawning and they're on their beds. I mean, as an Indigenous folk, yes, I'm allowed to do it, but if I'm allowed to do it, doesn't mean it's right. And you know, traditionally, many years ago, that's actually when the Indigenous people would harvest during spawn because it was the easiest to catch them. They would only take what they needed, take the amount of fish that was needed to feed the community. So today, in this lake, there's a lot of hammer handles, which are referred to pike that are around this size, you know, look like a hammer. The best times to harvest pike are early spring and in the winter. So we're just kind of coming to the tail end of spring. It's getting a little bit warmer, it's 25 degrees out. So we're just gonna try to exercise our rights, harvest the fish while they're still kind of good, and hopefully we can catch a big one. And if we're catching a big one, we're putting it back. Those big ones carry the genetics that make the giants, and we all love catching giants. So, like I said, sustainable harvest. So let's get out on the water. Oh. It is so crazy the amount of racism that still exists. I mentioned once I'm Indigenous, where my bloodline lies, and then I'm harvesting a fish online, and the wave of hateful comments starts swarming in. So today's a bit of a strange day because I have 3 rods in the boat. If you're starting out, I recommend with something like this. It's a medium fast rod, it's 7 feet. And it can pretty much take anything on. It can take the bass on, it can take the pike on. I've even caught a muskie on this. It was just a small little 6-pound muskie, but it was still a muskie. And these things are a lifesaver when it comes to catching pike and bass. I love the DT6 version. It's a little bit shallower. It's got a shallower bill, so it doesn't dive as deep. This one has a bit of a heavier bill, so it dives to 8 feet. These have caught me the most fish. A lot of people start with plastic worms and stuff like that. I started with these and I was nailing fish. So. Finally got a pike. Oh, mating scars. Wow. Well, if you're gonna take a fish, it's gonna be about that size. There is a certain way to eat these things. Gotta take off the skin. A lot of that slime that people don't like is in the skin. Thank you! And we want 2 more of those. 1 more of those. 1 more. Well, that's 1 down. And traditionally, pike was one of the main food sources for my ancestors. So my great-grandfathers and grandmothers. During those spring seasons, the fish would come into that shallow area underneath what's known as Athley Bridge. And they would go into these fences that were narrow or wide on the outside and narrow on the inside so the fish couldn't swim out. And then my people would go over with their canoes and they would spear down into those underwater palisade. And they wouldn't take them all, they would actually take just what was needed. And a lot of the smaller ones they could swim out. So when I'm saying this is a lot of people, they don't like the taste of northern pike. They say it's a fishy fish. Well, that's true. But it's a traditional meal. But it is. Here we go. What is that? Oh my god, it's a monster bass. Holy excuse my language. Oh my god. Oh my god. This big mama is guarding a nest right now. So I feel really bad. So we're not, oh my god, it's a monster. Oh my god. What a tank. Wow. Wow. That was crazy. I mean, as an indigenous person, I could harvest it, but you know, I just feel bad because then that nest could get eaten up by another predator, and then that's a batch of bass that's not going to be in this river. And you see the size of that thing? That makes big babies, and he's gonna make big babies. So yeah, let's get that one for that bass back. Yeah. What the hell? Oh. No! Oh, no! Oh, it happens. It happens. Shucks my ducks! It was a little skinny anyway. Had a good fight to it. We want something a little fatter than that. Alright, well, like all good things, they gotta come to an end. Oh, my legs. Oh. Tomorrow, I'll show you how to cut up this pike and my method to frying it. So stick around, we got some cooking to do. So we caught this Saturday, today is Sunday. We're gonna have it for dinner. So I'm gonna go over my preferred way to cut up a pike and my preferred way to cook a pike. We're gonna start with the 5 fillet method. Some of you might have heard of it. And if you haven't, well, prepare to learn something new. So the first cut and the easiest cut to do is right where the gills stop. You're just gonna go straight down until you feel bone. Boom. Right there. Over here, same thing. The back fin here, we're gonna cut down until we feel bone. Right there. You should be able just to drag the knife to meet the other incision. Voila. There's 3 lines. There's the spine line, and then there's another line here, which are the ribs. And you gotta cut on the outside of the outer line, not the inside. You do that, you're picking bones out of your teeth. You're gonna make another cut for your next fillet, behind the ear essentially. And you're gonna bring that down to the vent. You're gonna continue along the rib cage, slicing off the meat like so. You gotta follow the ribs. You don't want to go through the ribs. I'm gonna cut around the fin. This is gonna be fillet number 2. Do the same thing to this side, cutting on the outside of the bone. Not a preferred slice. We take the butt side. You can see this guy was marked up from spawning. There. And there's the 5th boneless fillet. Okay. Now here's a really important part about this whole cooking of pike, and pike in particular, because yeah, people are right, they are one of the most fishy fish. You gotta take off the skin. So if you have a board, it's way better if you have one of these boards that clamp down. Clamp a small piece of the skin or the flesh in the skin, you're gonna cut down, turn, bam, and you got a fillet, no skin. So super simple recipe, but it does a fantastic job at getting rid of that fishy taste. So it just starts with a cup of flour. Be generous with some Italian seasoning. See, and I mean generous. I mean like use the whole thing generous. Tex-Mex. Fish smell be gone. And we take our skillet. We'll use our gross oil. Just kidding, it's just canola oil that we've used a number of times, but once you use fish in it, it's kind of done for. It's hot oil. The next and almost final step that we need to do is we're gonna batter it here, get it all covered in the spice-filled flour, lay it in high heat oil. Finished product, we got fish, peas, and fries, and rice for my dad. Final step, enjoy. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the vid, subscribe, give a like, follow along. Got a lot more harvesting education to go over. We'll see you next time.